Oh, this is such a big win, Bev. The president was dealing, particularly actually, and very ironically, with Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Kirsten Sinema last year, very much stalling much of his agenda. And Manchin blocking the Build Back Better bill last December, which was going to address a number of economic and healthcare reforms, as well as some environmental reforms here in the United States. But it was those two Democratic senators coming over to support their own party in this package, which has really made all of the difference. This package addresses various issues like insulin costs, Medicare pricing, also the economy, the environment. These are all part of a big Democratic wish list. So big win for him. However, a lot of progressives, and I think we'll hear this once it goes to the House this week, aren't exactly happy about the scope of it. They would like it to be even bigger. But to get moderates like Manchin and Sinema on board, they got to take some losses.
Indeed. And, of course, Manchin was very resistant to the climate change elements of this. But this is an ambitious plan and is really quite groundbreaking for the US to tackle.
Right. Just to give some context to Australian viewers, Joe Manchin is from West Virginia, and West Virginia is a state that very much still depends on coal. The coal industry has very much shaped their economy, and I think there's a lot of anxiety and frustration among West Virginians who depend on that coal energy and that coal-driven economy, that there is such a push from, whether it was the Obama administration and the Biden administration, to switch to these more renewable sources of energy. However, we did hear Senator Manchin say, look, there's a good chance we could lose the Senate or even lose the House. So it's important to get these Democratic priorities passed through, because we don't know what the environment politically is going to look like for Democrats come January.
Yeah, and that is so fascinating. It seems to vacillate from one day to the next as to just who's performing better. What sense do you have of how this might impact the midterms if they can certainly get a run on some of these initiatives?
Well, we don't know how quickly Americans will start to feel the effects of this legislation. I would imagine it would likely be after the midterms. However, the point is that Biden and down ballot Democrats who are running for election and re-election can say, look at what the Democrats in Congress did to try to reduce inflation, to tackle climate change, to talk about healthcare prices and bringing those down. So we'll have to see how it impacts that. In the House, I think it's going to be a tougher road ahead for Democrats. I think Republicans still appear on track to win back the House. However, in the Senate, it's actually interesting because we know that Senate Republicans have had issues recruiting a lot of what they would say are ideal candidates to run for Senate. So you have all these controversial figures, such as Blake Masters in Arizona, for example, who's the Republican nominee for Senate in that state, and has claimed that election fraud did in fact take place without evidence in Arizona during the 2020 election. So you have these controversial candidates. On top of that, you have Senate Democrats very much delivering on a lot of campaign promises. So that could be the perfect storm for Democrats going into November.
Yeah. And, it's called the Inflation Reduction Bill. Is it going to do what they need for the economy and calm fears of a recession?
That's a good question. And you have a lot of Republicans trying to hit back at this, saying, raise taxes on, the biggest corporations that, employ lots of people in states like Arizona. Kirsten Sinema, for example, she's from Arizona and had some issues with those taxes being raised on large corporations and, individuals who are big employers. There's Republicans are saying that isn't a way to fight inflation. They also say that injecting money into the economy like this, as we're fighting inflation in the United States, won't do anything to stop it. So I think it's a battle of the economic ideologies here in the United States. But like I said, we won't know the results in terms of how the Americans will feel the effects of this legislation until months from now. It's not like it's going to take effect immediately.
Yeah, may not be in time. Good to talk, Julia. Thanks so much.